Hi everyone, today I'm sharing a quick tutorial on how I created this layout from the May 2014 gallery at Studio Calico. It uses just the Camelot main scrapbooking kit as well as a digital stamp brush from the Splendid Fin set. That set is available in the digital shop at Studio Calico. The base of my page was created using a cut file that I designed myself. It mimics a color wheel and I actually had designed it for a separate project. You can find it available for free on my blog at NicoleSamuels.com under DIY Color Wheel Wall Art. Now I had to alter it slightly because I only had one sheet of this pretty blue cardstock, so I had to be careful with how I used it, and I knew I wanted the Digi-Stamp brush to be printed on the same colored paper and in the center of the wheel. So I added that circle cutout in the center so that I could send that later through my printer. If you have a wide format printer, you might not have to do this step. You could maybe just print it first and then cut around it with your Cameo. But if you are like me and just have a regular sized printer, this is a good option. The next step was to print out the Digi-Stamp brush design that I wanted to use on the page. So I opened up Photoshop, created a new document, stamped the digital stamp brush onto that document, and then resized it to get it to fit exactly the size of the circle cutout that I had. And this might be different for you. I don't want to give you exact shape, or I'm sorry, exact size for this, because if you change the color wheel cut file at all, it could be slightly different from mine. So just measure that first, size it in Photoshop to fit that, then print it out first on just plain printer paper. Line up the blue cardstock circle on top of that with some temporary adhesive, send it through the printer again, and it comes out. Print it right on your circle. You can see it's not perfect. There's some blue edge that's showing, so it's slightly off center, but overall it worked pretty well. I decided that I was going to place my photos and pattern paper underneath this cut file, underneath this cut design. So to get the proper placement and to have something to adhere them onto, I just used a piece of white cardstock. I like to lay my die cut shape over the background paper and then use pencil to outline the areas where the openings will be. It makes it a lot easier when it comes to gluing down photos and paper and having everything in the right place and lined up. I selected the photos I wanted to use and printed them out at about 2.5 by 2.5, I think, or somewhere in there. You'd have to check your own die cut to know for sure what size you need the photos to be. And then I just used one of the pieces that was cut out from the Cameo, one of the pieces I didn't need, of that blue paper, and I just used it as a template. And this is much easier for me. I guess you could send paper and things through the Cameo again and cut them exactly to size. But when I'm doing a project like this, it's a lot easier just to hold the shape over the paper or the photo I'm going to put behind the die cut and then cut around it. And here you can see my photos as I've glued them down onto my traced template on the white cardstock. And you can tell that they aren't cut perfectly. As I said, I just quickly cut around my shape that I used as a template to get the general shape and size that I need. Then I added in the pattern papers. I selected the yellows, the soft pink, and then that pretty blue, and just arranged them around the circle till they looked right to me. To create a little bit more depth to the page and a variation in color, I layered some of them with the vellum that came in the kit. And then I selected some of the printables, cut them out, and then used some adhesive foam to give some more dimension to the page. And here's the best part of putting this layout together is when you can finally put that negative die cut shape down on top of your background and you can finally see it all come together. So here's that part of the process. I just adhered it right over top of my photos and pattern papers, and because I had traced it, everything lined up perfectly. I wanted the center of the page and the word everyday to have a little bit more pop to it so it would stand out a little bit more on my page, and the ink dauber that came in the kit is perfect for this. It's a lot easier to use than mist because you can control exactly where you're putting it, and that's the part I love about it. So I just laid my project down on some scrap paper and then used that dauber to color in or paint in the rectangle around the word everyday. And here you can see it adhered down onto the center of my page. I used a little bit of adhesive foam again underneath the everyday circle to create a little bit more dimension. And then it was time to add a little bit of gold to it. And I love the rub-ons that came in the kit. They were perfect for this. I loved the way it contrasted with the pastel colors. So to create a little bit extra pop to the rub-on, I wanted to add some red underneath the heart. So I cut out a little scrap piece of paper, glued it down onto my page where I was going to use the rub-on, and then just used the rub-on right on top of that. And you can see that it then shows the heart as red instead of what would be underneath it, the blue cardstock. And here's the final page after it was all assembled. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment and I'm happy to answer them. Have a great day.